Greetings. This is the Grumpy Old Slan, and I'm accompanied as usual by my friend, the Intellectual Quandary. How are you today?
Greetings all, greetings Slan. Thanks for having me as always. I'm good, thanks. How are you, mate?
I'm doing fine. Had a fun weekend, tiring but fun. There was a big book fair here in Montreal, and took part in that. So today
Nice.
we're gonna look at a book called Views by Roger Dean, who uh, I know a lot of people don't necessarily know the name of Roger Dean, but he's one of the most influential people in the world of fantasy artwork. And one reason for that is that he is one of the people who started Paper Tiger Books. So a lot of the art books that we may be looking at in the future will be published by this company. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Um, he is best known for having done a whole bunch of record covers, but he's also done lots of other fun stuff. So I guess let's start having a look at it. Uh, and on the cover, we do see one of the hallmarks of Roger Dean's work, which is that weird lettering of his, both the name and the title
Yes.
of the book. That's typical Roger Dean. So, so yeah, it's a fun little image. You see, like, a guy riding a dragon of some sort, accompanied by another going up the path to this weird structure. And I assume you're not too familiar with him. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
Yeah. So you'll notice a lot of very organic like structure. And if I zoom in a bit, you it's hard to tell whether this is a tree or this is a construction because like these circles, which could be windows and stuff, they're very nicely, regularly spaced, you know? So
Yeah,
this could be
it's
a
like a
weird.
weird hybrid nature slash construction thing.
Exactly. And this is something we'll see a lot in his artwork. So,
That's his
let
style, is it?
yeah, yeah. And we'll see how far he pushes it in the book. This is actually the first art book of the type I ever got. I was a teenager. I saw it in a store. Um, and I asked my parents, like, I had to borrow money from my parents to get it because I didn't have enough on me.
Hmm.
And that was like maybe it was the fall. And then he had another book, and I got the other book for Christmas.
Huh, nice.
Yeah, my parents were sharp sometimes. So yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. Title page. We see the lettering maybe a little bit bigger here,
Hmm.
and this weird bird plane thingy.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Roger Dean's views.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get into it. So a little introduction.
Oh, we didn't rate the image on
Oh
the
yeah,
cover.
we didn't. So so let's go
I
back to
mean,
the cover.
for a cover, I'd
Yeah,
say it gives a pretty good idea of like that weirdness that you're going to expect.
yeah, yeah. I like this cover. Now the edition I have, they varied the editions, and the biggest change is like the exact positioning of the lettering and the title.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, I think in mine the word views is on top, and there isn't as much of this big black. I think it's actually red all around in my edition. I'd have to go
Oh,
and dig it out and check, but they just did minor cosmetic changes, but it's the same artwork. Um,
hmm. Fair enough.
yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about this piece is that you can look and you see more and more detail all the time. It's kind of neat that way. I'll rate this one a solid 8.
I'd give it a 7.5. Yeah, good way to start a book off.
Yeah. I think this is a title page, so not so much a piece of art. So I think we could skip rating this because.
That's fine by me.
But I will say I really like the lettering he uses here. You know. Uh,
I mean, the plane on the top or whatever
yeah.
that thing is
Yeah.
reminds me of a Yankee Doodle pigeon. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is just a photograph. I'm not sure what it's doing there, to be honest. So Well, we see some stuff, like some people he worked with, and I guess those are his cats. All 4 of them.
I would hope that they're his cats.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we see the cats on the table there. There's one of them at least. So we see a little preview of his artwork. We're going to see bigger pieces, so I think let's not rate these tiny little thumbnails.
Yeah.
And go to the next one. Again, some more photos. Brief biography. And here we start to get into what he's done. So he's not just an illustrator, he's also a designer, as in an industrial designer. So these are some weird chairs he came up with.
Oh, like an engineer?
Yeah, well, the thing is that the designer
Like
will come up with the way it should look and will often suggest materials. The engineer will actually make sure that, oh, you built a chair, you want it made out of this. Well, we need to add a bit, maybe an extra strut for the structure to be solid enough, you know? But there is an overlap between engineering and, oops, I didn't mean to do that, between engineering and industrial design. So,
okay.
But there's a big focus on art and industrial design. So
he's like the guy that does like the schematics then?
Yeah, or, you know, here's this concept, you know, like basically, if you think of any, like, you know, your phone, there might have been like an industrial designer might have sketched out the way it should look, and then like a couple of engineers had to make sure everything would fit inside, or go back to the designer and say, you know, we need an extra millimeter thickness because there's not enough space, or whatever, you know.
They go back to the designer and say, here's all the reasons why you're wrong.
Yes, exactly. So again, I don't think these pages are quite worth rating.
No, it's fine.
You know, and here we see like, yeah, so this is one of his chairs in action. So it's not a beanbag. It's actually, you can see the inside structure here in the left-hand side. As well as like a sketch of what it would look like. But, you know, so I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Ooh. So that's the inside of it. Like that's a quarter of the chair. And if I go over here, we see a sketch of what it might look like, but clearly he's more imaginative than a lot of people.
Yes.
You know? But it's kind of neat to have like the idea for a kid's chair like that. That'd be kind of cool if you were a kid to have.
You say cool. I mean, the one on the right looks like the last thing you see before you die, but...
Well, I mean, the idea of like a big plushie that is also a chair.
Oh, yeah, no, the idea is great, but that picture in particular is
I mean,
an example.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Anyway, so some more ideas similar to that.
Yeah.
And what's weird is you see his designs for the chair, and then you see like this piece of art here on the right, which is kind of incorporates some of the elements of his designs, if you will, you know? Two guys running after a lizard. Meanwhile, some people are just sitting and looking on. Not sure what that's supposed to say, but
maybe it's a commentary on some people just being observers. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, you see something maybe more sad. So these are plans for, if I remember, because I sort of skimmed through the book last week to get ready. This was like the rectangular shape was a building, and people wanted to do like a lounge where people could hang out, listen to music. I think if I zoom in, you could see what he imagined it might look like. This is very 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Clearly it had problems reproducing some stuff. And there's some just, you know, sketches of it. And on the right hand side is, I don't know, some weird drawing with uh, kind of worrisome. I could see that on the cover of a horror book.
Yeah, that's fair.
You
Call
know?
of Cthulhu: Alone Against the Blood.
Yeah. 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 You should write that. So, yeah, I mean, this is more of a suggestive piece than anything else, though you can see more and more as the more you look, you can see little details in it, which is kind of fun.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But I think because it lacks any good, strong focus, I'd probably just rate this one, I don't know, probably a 5.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of too nondescript just as it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more like a, let's try something out in preparation for another piece of art.
This is what you think when you think, oh, unimaginable horror.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yep, that's unimaginable, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 5. It's sort
Yeah.
of middle of the road, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. This is so on the left we have like a couple of monsters and nightmarish scenes. The right is actually an album cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Here's a quote. When drawing pictures for his three-dimensional projects, he rarely resisted including a monster or two. And yet in this picture of monsters in hell, he couldn't resist a clown or two. So yeah, and it's in I think it's album cover for Gun, so which is a band I'd never heard of before.
I've never heard of them either.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, I like this piece. It's kind of fun. The hordes of hell. Like there's so many of them, you can't see all of them, and it is
I
a
think
little
it
bit
does a good
whimsical
job.
at the same time.
Does a good job depicting the chaos.
Yes, it does.
Because if you imagine hell to be, well, chaotic, then
Yeah.
that's a pretty good example. They're not all just going to be stood in a line, are they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I like this piece. I'll give it like a 6.5. There's
Yeah, it's not as strong as the cover, but I'd
exactly.
probably give it around a 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So, moving on, we have another one.
Did you see the message I sent you in private chat, by the way?
No, I did not. Hold on a sec. Okay, I sound a bit hollow. Okay. Oh, I know what's happening. StreamYard did its stupid thing again. Yes.
Do I sound okay?
Sound okay. It's StreamYard's doing. I should be.
Oh, there we go.
Now.
That's better.
Yeah. It always reverts back to the internal mic on the computer every time. And if I forget to reset it every time I log back on.
Yeah, I just don't bother plugging it in until I've already joined the studio now.
Yeah. But I've tried plugging my headphones in before I joined the StreamYard. After I've joined it, no matter what I do, it always reverts back to the computer mic.
It must be a PC thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm on laptop, and I think laptop doesn't have like the default settings like a PC does.
Yeah, it might be because
my internal mic on the laptop is just a laptop mic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Anyway, sorry about that, everyone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just noticed. I was like,
yeah. So yeah,
anyway,
so we have this one, another illustration, some man riding some sort of dragon lizard creature.
And again, with like the natural construction,
yeah,
sort of
It's almost like, like those steps have been wedged into the tree trunk so you could climb up the tree or something.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting. It's like
Yeah.
that was all that structure, the tree thing was already there, and they just went,
Yeah.
right, we're gonna carve something out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is that a dragon? What is that?
Where what he's writing, the man? Or-
Yeah,
Let me
a
zoom
lizard?
in. I mean, it could be either, but it really looks like he took like a regular lizard body and just played with the legs a bit. And
It looks
maybe,
almost like a dinosaur.
yeah, it's very weird.
Whatever it is, I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So what would you rate this one?
You know what? I'd give this an 8 because I think it's slightly better than the cover. I think it does
Yeah.
everything the cover does, but slightly better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think 8 is
mean-
very good. Yeah, I think 8 is right.
For starters, I mean, there's more color.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, or even firstly, if this is what your eye is drawn to, there's like a thing that's happening in the scene.
Yeah, exactly. He's about to jump. You wonder where.
They definitely both look to be observing something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this one.
Yeah.
Best one so far?
Yeah. On the right-hand side, I think it seems to just be a sketch.
Yes.
So
I'd say we can ignore the black and white sketches
Yeah.
unless there's any particularly good ones.
Yeah. And we'll see the small bottom one, very dark. We'll see that image coming up right here. Hello.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
In all
Sorry.
its glory.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. That's a double. They've got a lot of double, fold out thingies in this book. So I tried to.
Interestingly, I would not have guessed that it was a mechanical thing by the sketch.
Yeah. The silhouette doesn't.
Doesn't betray that, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. What's
Portray.
interesting, what I think he does, because I know he does that sometimes, he'll draw one thing and then carefully cut out the sheet of paper and put it on a different background. So I have the feeling that what we're seeing, like the big picture and that small one, the only difference is the background. Like he literally just took that mechanical bird thingy and the writer, and then after he painted it, he just carefully took an X-Acto knife, cut it out, and
Yeah, he literally cut and pasted it.
yeah, and then he put it on that photograph of the purplish sky and clouds, or you put it on this painting, so yeah, it's a weird thing. I can't decide. Like you said, it's hard to decide. Is it mechanical or biological or both at the same time? How does that work? I don't know, but I could see that in some adventures, like something like a Gamma World, like a bit of a Gonzo, futuristic but slightly post-apocalyptic world.
I think the thing that's throwing me off is that the bottom and the middle of it seems to be pretty clearly mechanical, but the wings have no visible detail on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes me think that they're not mechanical, because the things that are mechanical have detail.
Yes, exactly. But yet there's this weird transition area here, which kind of looks like the outline of these claws and stuff.
Actually, yeah, now that you mention it, it looks kind of like a hang glider.
Yeah, could be.
But like a hang glider that looks like a mechanical bat.
Yeah. So
that's what it is. It's a mechanical bat. We figured it out.
Yeah. Okay. So, I
Solid
don't like.
7.
Yeah. All that said, it's kind of a fun. You can play a lot with this image. I think, imagining what it is or how it works. But it's a bit of a weird image, and I would give this one probably like a 6.5 or 7.
Yeah.
I like the thing. The background doesn't do much for me. I mean, it's nice and dynamic and everything, but it doesn't tell you where it is.
To me, the background does nothing more than to give the shape contrast,
Exactly. That's all it seems to do.
and it does that. It does that very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, moving
So yeah,
on.
solid 7. Oh,
So,
that.
So
What is that one on the right-hand side and the top left?
top left, like this here.
Yeah, that thing.
This is the
What
cover for a re-released album by Gracious! ! When their album was first released, it features an exclamation mark. So Dean worked this image into a drawing.
Oh, it's an exclamation mark.
I could see that.
Oh, interesting.
And I guess, again, it's another band I've never listened to, but...
So from far away, it looks like a tiki mask to me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, here, let me zoom in a bit.
And now it just looks like stained glass windows.
Yeah, exactly. Stained glass windows, and the guy singing sticks out of the window. It's there's a lot of religious imagery in this one. It feels like,
Was he religious?
No, but I mean like the stained glass, even though what's being depicted is not religious. And then like this book here that the singer's in front of. It kind of reminds me of Big Bible or other book like that someone's reading from. Some really weird stuff in this page.
No, I'm just curious because, some people who are religious put religious influences into their text, and some people who aren't also do it.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's because the band, like a name like Gracious, are they referring to the grace as in the grace of God? I don't know.
Who knows?
But it could also be very hippie. If you look at the singer with the long hair, it might be a portrait of the actual band singer. But I think we could zoom in a bit just to see a little bit up close what the different stuff is. So these are different album covers, some design stuff. Yeah, we're talking about religious. This looks like a church, but the steeple is just taking off like a rocket.
Yeah, they're ascending to the heavens.
Yeah. Figure 8 is... they don't say what figure 8 is. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, I see. Apparently, you see the rocket, and then you unfolded it, and then you saw it was like the church steeple taking off.
Huh.
Oh, here, that's what you saw. On the front. And it would fold out at the bottom, and then you'd see the rest of the church.
Right, okay. It's not a left to right fold out, it's a top to bottom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And another album cover. I think it all folds in a weird way. Okay, we looked at this, then some, people often try to get shocking images in some ways, or at least eye-catching ones that would make people look a second time. That's a very weird one, if you ask me, in the top right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not even looking at the other two. I'm sitting there looking at that one thinking, what the hell is that?
Yeah. And then some black and white stuff. So, yeah, I think, let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently this image in the top left was for a record cover for a band called Earth and Fire.
Not Earth, Wind and Fire.
No, it's a Dutch band called Earth and Fire.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I know on the right-hand side, what we're seeing is covers for a band called Lighthouse. I used to have that record, actually.
Do you know what? It looks kind of like a windmill in the second one, the one on the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, well, let me zoom in so you could see a bit better. So there's that, again, weird organic structure, and then this giant insect, like, what's the word I'm looking for here?
That's a dragonfly.
Dragonfly, that's it. So, but yeah, again, like, you know, I mean, the
prefer
band is
the
called
image on-
Lighthouse, so a tower like that on the edge of the ocean. Yeah,
Yeah.
weirdly organic lighthouse. And some sketches for alternatives.
They clearly had, you can see from the sketches, they clearly had an idea.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we want them all to look phallic.
Yeah, that too. Okay. Yeah,
But yeah,
here
no,
we
I
see-
like
yeah,
them.
but-
I'd give the one on the left maybe a 6 and the one on the right a 7, I think.
yeah. And here we have like, yeah.
Oh, I really like that one on the right,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. What's
That
interesting
one's
is that
making me ask questions.
it's almost the same. One like when the ocean is calm and the other one in a storm. But I like the one in the storm more. It's more dramatic.
100%.
And there's it looks the same, but it's not quite the same either. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a few subtle differences. But no, I like the one on the right a lot, and that one I'll give it a solid 8.
Yeah, I agree. An 8 for that one.
The one on the left, it's just as nicely rendered, but it's not as dramatic. That can sometimes be nice, but I'll give it a 7 just because it doesn't engage me quite as much.
Yes,
There was at least
agreed on
something flying, leaving or arriving, so that there'd be a bit of a story. I'd give it an 8, but there isn't. So
that. Yeah, there's just nothing happening in the image.
Yeah.
Like you
And
can
again,
see in the
like-
one on the right that the storm is like active.
yeah, and it's so hard to render like water, and you don't necessarily want to make it look realistic because that's like I find almost impossible, but you want to get the feel of it. And I think in both cases he does manage that well, both for the stormy waters and the very calm sea.
Yeah.
So that's, and I would
Well,
imagine
it's almost like you have to caricaturize water, right?
yeah.
Like when it's calm, it's really calm. When it's like whippy, it's really bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we have to imagine these images would have like the name of the band and some other stuff on them too. So, but yeah,
More
let's
likely.
go to the next one. So on the left-hand side is an album cover for a band called Rare Earth. And again, there's, let me zoom in a bit so we could see it a bit better. But there's some of that weird lettering,
Oh yeah.
Like he's not the only one who's done that. Plenty of other artists have done it, but he certainly has done quite a bit of it, and some of it has became quite memorable. And yeah, I'm not sure what this black and white piece is. What I do notice is that some of what we see in it is also in that smaller image on the right. But I like the image on the left quite a lot. If I zoom in so we could, yeah, I guess it's either a little bit too small, but it feels like a very dramatic sky, like a cloudy sky. The silhouette of the trees and the rocks. Then we see some creatures here, barely lit. It's very evocative in some ways.
It gives me a feeling of like overall atmospheric dread. Like whatever's going on there is not good.
Yes, exactly. That's what I feel too. I find it's fascinating how he, like most of that image is just the silhouette of these rocks and the trees, some, random patterns of color, and then just this weird creatures here. And you get so much out of just that.
Yeah.
No, this one I'd give a solid 8.5.
Really? That high?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that high. I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay.
I feel like there's just not enough brightness to contrast the darkness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
But this is all personal opinion anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what this black and white image is. All I notice is that this thing seems to be here too. I don't know what that. I can't quite make out what these are, so I think we'll just skip this. I don't know why they've got a few things in this book that either just didn't reproduce right, or if that's really what he wanted to look like, I don't understand why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. So we see some of the sketches, but then this is an album cover.
Of course it is.
Okay. So
we're gonna have to stop playing another game. Guess the name of the band based on the cover.
Yeah, that's gonna be so hard.
I know, right? But I like it. It reminds me of a mechanical fly.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, exactly what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In the text, he calls it a spaceship.
Seraphis, hello.
Oh, greetings, Seraphis. How are you? Yeah, the insectoid shuttles from Lex. Or maybe the insectoid shuttles from Lex got inspired by this, because this book is from the, I think, late 70s, early 80s. We should have checked the copyright page when we were at it. Oh well. Because I know the second book came out in 84. And so that was this one was a few years before, and they did they did quite a few other things in between. But one of the things I do like, and I'm just going to zoom into the smaller image here, is that because it's smaller, we don't see quite as much detail, but it does appear to be the same mechanical insect, right? And it's nice to see different perspectives, because sometimes people draw something that looks really great, but...
Oh, 1975, this one, Slan.
75. Oh my God, even older than I thought. Okay, so there we go. Yeah.
And what did Seraphis say? Oh, Dungeon Minister,
Greetings,
hello.
Dungeon Minister.
What did you say it was from? Lex.
Yeah. So.
That is from 1997.
Yeah.
So we've cleared that up.
Yeah.
I like this one. I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, me too. I think an 8 is good. So like I was saying, one of the things I like is that sometimes you'll show us the same creature or thing, but from different angles. And I know some illustrators, they show you a drawing, but whatever they're drawing can't exist in 3 dimensions the way they drew it.
Yeah.
And partly I think because he's a graphic design, like an industrial designer, he knows how to think in 3 dimensions and how things work together.
Yeah, he actually thinks about feasibility, not just how good it looks.
Exactly, yeah. So
You guys feel free to give your ratings in chat too, by the way.
oh yeah, absolutely. And here, this is another one of the same.
Oh, that looks so much more menacing from the front.
It does. I think the red, ochre, yellowy background also conveys
It looks
some.
angry.
Yeah. It's interesting how what's below could just be like, cables and random pieces of machinery, but it looks like claws and, things that could attack you.
Nice. Okay, Seraphis gives it a 10. Dungeon Minister gives it an 8.
Yeah, I will be with, I'll do Critter Mobile an 8. Yeah, I think an 8 is reasonable for that one.
I think I give the last one an 8, so I have to give this an 8.5 at least. Because this one's better for me.
And let's get back. Some more of weird industrial designs.
These ones look interesting. Can you zoom into those top 2 on the left, please?
Sure. They're like strange vehicles.
Yeah.
With the idea being that those vertical things would go up and down, and you can see it better on the left, right-hand one. Like those arms could articulate it, so you can lift one up, move the arm forward, put it down, and then slowly it makes its way forward. One with 4 legs on the left, and one with 6 on the right.
Oh yeah, you're right. It does have 6.
Yeah, moving around in uneven terrain.
I like the one on the left more.
Yeah,
just so slightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see some sketches here. And let's go here. This is apparently like, I guess, like a stage that's on a truck, so you can move it around.
Okay.
Like a mobile stage with lights and everything.
So if you're going on tour or something.
Yeah, and some of what he's, for outdoor festivals or something. Some of what we're seeing on this page, we're going to see again later on. Or, echoes of it. We're going to see them later on.
Festivals in space.
Yeah. Oh, here's the...
oh, yes.
So clearly like a weird control chair here, another one there, but this is like the stage of... We don't see the stage itself. And presumably the audience is on the other side. This is like the backstage area. So again, he's clearly thought, because like you see the trailer and then you could see at the bottom like the headlights and the steering wheel. This guy's British, for any of the non-UK residents. That's why the steering wheel is on the right-hand side.
Ah, the correct side.
Yeah. But the thing is, you could see how, you put your trailer there, you unhook the cab, you drive it over here to expand the backstage area. An interesting idea.
Nice.
But I think the problem with this is that the vehicle is too...
Would you believe it, Dungeon Minister? We actually have Tim Hortons in the UK now, too.
Yeah.
We've even got one where I live. Of all places.
Yeah, I think we have a quarter where there's like all 4 quarters have a Timmy's. But yeah.
Or do you call it Timmy's? That's so cute.
Yeah. Or Tim Hortons, they're both
Um,
called that. So
yeah. I like
mean, I
this
think
one.
yeah, it's kind of fun. I
Um,
think it's more of a nice rendering of an industrial design concept, more than a piece of art to be looked at for its own sake. But it's still a fun little thing to look at. Mr. Horton in the UK, of course. Yeah. So I'll rate this one a 6. It's well rendered. It's an interesting thing, an idea, but it's not all that exciting overall.
I agree. Yeah. No. I suddenly don't feel as bad because I was going to say 6.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more like when you do industrial design, sometimes you just have pencil sketches and stuff, and sometimes you want to make a nicer rendering, and this is what this seems to be.
Oh, I missed your other comment, Dungeon Minister. Sorry. Yeah, come on, move to the UK. Join us on the not the dark side, the other one.
Yeah. Okay, so, and I think the Dungeon Minister, yeah, 5 or 6. I think we all agree on this one.
Yeah.
And again, some strange vehicles.
What the heck is that one in the top right? That looks so bizarre.
Yeah, hold on. Let me. I guess those. You know what? Those 3 prongs with the wheels. What I find interesting. I mean, you said like published in 75, so this probably predates it. But like the wheels on the Mars rovers,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of look like that. Very wide and not actual tires. But what I was going to say is that 3-prong thing with a wheel at each end. If you've ever seen the movie Damnation Alley, they have those on the vehicles in that movie.
All right. No, I've never seen it.
And the idea is, I mean, that's what you see on in the movie. I have no idea how well that would actually work in principle. And bear in mind that in the movie, it's like a big vehicle. It's got, like multiple sets of wheels. So
Yeah.
as they're going over rough terrain, let's say there's a big rock blocking this wheel, then the whole assembly rotates to go over the wheel, to go over the rock, so you don't go up. The wheel doesn't have to go up the rock. It just stays where it is, and the whole thing flips over it. And the central cab here, which is tiny compared to what's in what do you call it, Damnation Alley, would remain horizontal the whole time. It's weird, but
so it sort of counter rotates to keep it
yeah, exactly
horizontal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And Dungeon Minister's right. No matter what happens, you land on your wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. It's
Yeah,
an interesting. I've seen things similar to it, but not quite like it.
Yeah. And here, these look more like regular vehicles, but what's crazy is we see vehicles that look almost like that today. Like very boxy and, with big, huge windows like that and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. What's fun with books like this with crazy designs like that is that if you're running a game like a Traveller game or a Gamma World game or anything that's science fiction-y, you can use these as ideas for the vehicles in your game instead of having some more standard stuff. You could just lift that image to show your players and describe that vehicle.
Yeah, it would. It would fit definitely.
Okay, moving on. Ah, yeah. So this is an album cover.
Oh, it's Cthulhu.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that squid actually. Very ominous though. He's really glaring at us with that
Oh
one
yeah,
blue
he
eye.
looks angry.
Yeah.
He's definitely about to like chant some,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, so this is an album cover and
What was the Cthulhu language? What was it called?
oh, the language, I don't know. Yeah, all hail Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's Grim. She has been summoned.
Yes, Grim Squirrel, greetings. So nice to see you here. The
I said
truck is filled-
Cthulhu and she arrives. What are the
Yeah.
odds?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Octopus is actually the name of the album by Gentle Giant that this was a cover for. What's weird is I have that album, but it's a completely different cover I have. So I don't know if like the North American release and the UK release had a different cover, which could be possible. But yeah, there's also an octopus on the cover of mine. But it's very different. But yeah, no, I like this image a lot. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay. Yeah. 8 because it's an octopus,
Ah, good point. You got my vote to an 8.
And here on the left-hand side is another album cover.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's sitting on its legs and its tail, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
clearly
exactly.
looks like a human.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what if we had tails we could sit on?
Oh man. That'd be so cool. You could just have a portable chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could tell I'm lazy from the way that I thought about that.
Here's I'm going to read from the text because it's too funny. Dean decided that after 5,000 years of chair design, the only sufficiently different variation as yet unattempted, as far as he knew, was the biochemical approach. Dean's proposal was based on a mechanism favored by lizards for regrowing their tails. He finally abandoned the project because of lack of facilities. That's funny.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. To be fair, yeah, actually, Dungeon Minister does make a good point. There would be a lot of pressure on your tailbone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I also have one very big question.
Mm-hmm.
How did it get there? Like, why is there just one block of ice that just has this thing on it? Nothing else.
Yeah, that's
like, what are the odds that one bit of ice is the only bit of ice that hasn't melted yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah. All right. So you would rate it
7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7. I think 7 is fair. And just I'm going to zoom in on those little drawings here on the right-hand side. Very hippie feels to them, if you ask me. And very strange.
The skelly keeps retreating as the rest of the ice melts.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the thought process. He went, right, I want this thing to be drawn in this particular way, in this orientation.
Yeah.
Wait, what the hell do I put him on?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on. Another album cover.
Whoa.
This one for one of the first African bands to make it big in like the West, if you will. Osibisa. Osibia? I'm not sure. Osibisa, something like that. I have one of their albums. It's really great. Sort of like rock jazz with a lot of African beats to them. Very fun music. And yeah, I
Can't
think
say
this
I've
album
heard,
cover does get
unfortunately.
the African feel across with
Yeah, with the color scheme that it goes for.
yeah, and the weird flying elephants. It's kind of neat.
Oh my god, that's a flying elephant.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize until you said it.
yeah. Here, there you go.
Oh, okay. I just unlocked a new fear.
Yeah. And they'll even charge you on the ground like we're doomed. Doomed, I tell you.
I remember back when memes first became a thing when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw a meme and it said "flying sharks." That's it. Now we're fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the same
Wow.
with flying elephants. Oh my god, that landing on you.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm thinking of is I saw this video once where this guy was going through how to avoid an attack by, how to survive an attack by a bear, by, a bull, by, various animals. And when he gets to the elephant, he goes, for this, you need an elephant gun. And when the elephant starts to charge you, turn the gun on yourself. It's the only way it won't kill you. Because you'll do it before he gets to you. And yeah, those flying elephants, yeah, even more, even more. And they're kind of like, red eyes and
I was genuinely looking at it thinking, huh, that's a nice butterfly. And then you said it was an elephant and it just changed everything.
yeah. And it's also like the eyes, like, make it look like very, even the tusks are very, and then like the bat wing ears, like, ugh. Yeah. If you set a Call of Cthulhu game in Africa, you're going to encounter that. And your sanity will go.
100%.
And your
Oh my
sanity
God,
will
yes.
go.
That's a 1d10, that is.
Mm-hmm. With that said, I really like this image. I'm going to give it a solid 8.
Do you know what? Yeah, I agree. It's really good. Did you say it was a cover?
Yeah, it's an album
African
cover.
Yeah, I can see that. It's really nice.
Yeah, Osibisa. Sorry, that was the name of the band. And if I zoom in over here, you can see the logos he did for him. So that's the band's logo. Osibisa Woyaya, that's their second album. I will assume that this is his version of the logo, but with the whatever script is native to where they're from. Because I don't recognize, I mean, they're hard enough sometimes to read as it is, but I don't recognize any of these characters. So
I can't make the words out.
yeah, I think the
Osibisa.
Osibisa, and
That's
then
the band name.
Yeah, and then Woyaya was the name of the second album, and that was the cover of the second album. We can actually see here. Let me just zoom into these. So more desert, like, lone tree and some of the flying elephants getting to it. And then this is the front and the back of the album. Some sketches. It's kind of nice to see the process. right? The little thumbnails where he plans out what's going to happen. And then that's the front of the cover.
Is that another elephant fly? Well, what is that?
Oh, it's another elephant up here, but then there's a weird lizard
Later, Dungeon
creature.
Minister. Take care.
See you, Dungeon Minister. Thanks for dropping by.
Okay, so that one on the bottom is unbelievably creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know what it is, but I don't want to know what it is.
Yeah.
The one on the top was really interesting. It's like an elephant mixed with a dragonfly.
Yeah. And then instead of just having, like the round elephant's foot, it's got these big claws. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't like that one quite as much as the previous one, but it's still like, I think, a solid 7 for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this one is a little bit... It's trying to do what the last one didn't really capture it.
Yeah. And then another album cover.
Whoa, okay, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I mean, these are like big flowers. There's some insects. And then, it's almost like the flowers are hanging. There's a branch with this big bug on it. And then you're in the tree, and then you're seeing the landscape around where you are. My problem with this one is, while I do like I like the layering, this being the middle ground and this the background. I find there's not quite enough contrast with these. Look like orchids to me, but the flowers in the foreground and these trees, there's not quite enough contrast. So I have a hard time seeing what's middle ground here and what's foreground. And there's not much focus. If there was something happening, even the hint, like if here you'd see a little light, like somebody had a campfire, that would be telling us a story of some sort. I don't have anything to really hold on to in this image. My eye just keeps wandering at more or less at random.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I'm looking at the image and I'm not really sure what I'm looking at or even what I'm supposed to be looking at.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you look like down here, I mean, this is clearly some bug, like a beetle, when they open up their carapace for their wings to come out and then they fly off. But, and up here are like flowers. But I mean, is this part of the tree or the flower? It's hard to tell what's what. So what I will do is I will just zoom in here on the upper left-hand side to these little models that he made, which I think are hilarious. So he took these little elephant minis and put like tanks from, I guess, a model kit.
Oh, that is awesome.
I love that.
Oh, that's a 10.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea, and it looks great.
I'm definitely, if I'm running
D&D
D&D or something, I don't know, like one day in the future, I'm definitely putting that as one of my enemies. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I just got attacked by a sneeze. I think I muted myself in time.
Yeah. No, you were right, Grim Squirrel. She was looking at it when it was all small, and she got it right. So. Yeah, so
Sarah right. He goes, very Cthulhu IQ. I have questions, and they should never be answered.
Yeah. But I'm gonna rate this image on the left probably a 4. The rendering's nice, but the composition and the lack of focus just kills it.
Yes, Yeah,
You
no,
know?
I would agree. Four is fair.
Next is yet another album cover for a band called Budgie.
Right, I was gonna say Falcon.
Yeah. Um,
I'm sort of playing the guessing game, see?
yeah. And what he talks about here in the text is how this is actually a model airplane, and this is a seagull skull that he found that he molded, and then
Wow, Grim Squirrel's right
to
again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He took a model airplane, the skull of this bird, and he molded them together. And so you can really tell it's a photo on the right hand side if I zoom in.
Wow, even
You
she's
know?
shocked that she got it so spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite a blackbird. It's like
Yeah.
the mutation happened somewhere in the bloodline. This is the
Yeah.
red bird.
Yeah. What's interesting, so Budgie's a band few people have heard of. I do have one of their albums I found, but their best known song was covered by Metallica, and it's called Crash
What
Course
was
in
it?
Brain Surgery. It's
Oh,
called
that
Crash
was
Course in The original song was written and performed by Budgie.
okay.
And
I
in
learned.
Garage Days, they Metallica did a cover for it.
Hmm.
So like
I
that,
did not
those are
know
the
that.
bands that the bands most of us like listen to. If you see what I mean,
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
you know,
They're your favorite artist's favorite artist. One of those things.
kind of thing, or at least an
Yeah.
artist they like because they covered, one of their songs is at least one of their songs, that I know of.
Like how if Jimi Hendrix isn't your favorite guitarist, he's your favorite guitarist's favorite guitarist.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna rate these both a 7. I like the idea, it's fun, but just like when you see an image of a plane in midair flying, it's okay. It's not super exciting.
I would have give this one a 6, but I
Yeah.
will give it a 7 because I like the fact that you can tell it's sort of in the diving maneuver.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can tell that even though there's not much happening, you can tell that there's something going on.
Hmm.
Like it's not just flying straight horizontally all nice and peacefully.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I
have
mean?
to say the image on the right is a lot less interesting because of that. They just
Yeah.
look like two planes flying.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah. Okay. And again, some other album artwork. We see, we really see the model airplane here with the skull.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And this is another Budgie album cover.
They clearly like birds in their album covers, I see.
Oh yeah. There's actually another artist. I have one of his books called Patrick Woodruff. And he did a cover for Budgie, and they basically in the brief told him, we want something like Planet of the Apes, but with budgies. So he has these, they look like dressed kind of like the monkeys in Planet of the Apes, but they have budgie heads, riding
Okay.
horses and guns and all of that.
That sounds incredibly strange.
It is. They had some good stuff to smoke back then, I guess. And on the right, we have another album cover, and this one's for a band called Magna Carta, called
Okay.
Lord of Ages.
Which one's this? Sorry, the one on the right or the one on the left?
The one on the right here, this one. With
Okay.
the strange riders in the clouds, it seems.
I wonder, like, are they actually what are they like sat on? Because if it's a cloud, then how are they
Well,
sitting on a cloud?
yeah. Well, I'm thinking because of the title being Lord of Ages, the Lord of Ages, it might be some mythical thing, like you know how the gods live in the clouds type thing,
Okay, yeah, true.
or it's a vision of some sort, because they sort of melt into the clouds in
Yes,
some
true.
way.
The cloud formation on the right hand side of the image almost looks like a face.
Yeah, yeah. Apologies. Yeah. So one of the things that Dean does a lot, and you can sort of see it here, is he probably, airbrushed this gradient and then put some water on it, and that dissolved some of the paint and created some of that texture. This is all like, random, some control to it if you know what you're doing. But this is
Yeah.
clearly like watercolor does this bleeding pattern if you have watercolors a lot.
Hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, here, the way this, I'm not going to call it a horse, but horse-like mount, and it just blends right into the cloud here.
Yes.
And then same with this rat-like one. It's hard to say.
Yeah, no, that looked like a rat to me. So,
Yeah, exactly. So
like, he's not as worthy. He only gets the rat as a steed.
yeah. Yeah. So, um, the the one here on the left, it's kind of fun. I do like the background. There's a story to it. The bird's on its perch, the writer. The fact the writer also has a budgie head is just so weird to me. But I like this image overall. I could see that in any adventure where your characters encounter people who are riding uh, giant birds, and that's the bird's nest. And yeah, let's get ready to ride, and they're saddling it up and all of that. It's kind of neat.
It's something that you'd see out of Bloodborne. Like, there's
Yeah,
a bird being ridden by someone who's a human with a bird head.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah,
I
maybe
like
this
it.
image is less dark, but yeah, the idea is certainly the same.
Yeah. I
But yeah,
like it.
yeah,
I'd
I
give it
like
an
it
8.
too. Yeah, me too. And as for this one, um, I think it's a kind of image you can really inspire yourself from to, if you have to narrate like visions that the player characters have. Um, it's much more dreamlike in a way than this image here. I mean, this image, obviously, I mean, it's not real, but it has a real feel to it, whereas this one has a very um,
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, the image on the
dreamlike
left
quality to it.
feels grounded.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think I'll give this one a 7.5.
I'll just give it a 7, I think.
Okay. And moving on. Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Hmm.
So let me just zoom into these. So this is a cover for Macbeth, for the soundtrack to one of the Macbeth movies.
Right, okay.
And I like that one a lot. I wish it was reproduced big because I mean, clearly it's the opening scene when you see Macbeth in the background approaching the three witches.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
That's what I got from that. As soon as you said it was Macbeth, I'm like, yep.
yeah. But I love the fact that he's, barely visible as an outline on his horse. And because, in the play, it's like you see it from his point of view where the witches are lost in the mists, and then he approaches them, and they, you know, whereas here it's the opposite. It's from their point of view. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a simple composition, but it's very effective. Tells the story. That one's a solid 8 for me. This is an album cover for a band called Babe Ruth. Would you be surprised to find out the album was called First Base?
Huh. Interesting.
So I don't know how much baseball history you know, but Babe Ruth was the name of a very famous player.
Oh, okay. Yep, I
So,
didn't know that.
Okay, so that's why First Base, and you can see the baseball theme here. Very weird interpretation of baseball. The bases aren't supposed to swim around or be sharks that can eat my leg. But there we go. It's strange, but it's in one way, but it's also not very compelling as an image. There's so much black. Here we see two figures, but it's hard to distinguish them. They meld into one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I'll give it a 5 because it's.
The one on the left, I'll give a 7, and this one, I agree, is a 5.
Mm-hmm. And then we have this strange black and white drawing of another weirdly suited person on a very strange biomechanical steed.
That looks to be more, at least from what I can see, it looks to be like more of a hound.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said steed. I meant in the very broad sense,
Because it has horse qualities, but the front of it and the way it's running looks almost like a dog or a wolf.
Yeah. That's true. It's also the big mouth, the way the mouth is, like the shape of the head and the mouth.
Yeah. Like horses, why the long face?
Yeah, exactly. They, dare we say it, they have a horse face. So yeah, I think there's a color version of that coming up.
Oh,
so
good.
Let me go to the next page, see if I'm right from memory, and if it is, we'll rate the color version. Oh, and this is for a band called Paladin, and the album was called Charge.
That makes perfect sense.
A whole bunch of sketches. So again, that could be interesting to look at. And here we go. I knew there was a color.
That's not the color I was expecting it to be.
Yeah. Well, we can see the hooves much more than in the black and white. So
now it looks like a unicorn.
Yeah. And in the background, we see the outlines of at least 3 more, I would guess, of these riders.
Oh my god, it's the 4 mechanical horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. This is war. He's red, and he's the first one.
Yes.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Death, destruction. Oh, Seraphis loves it.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I like the weird biomechanical feel to the mount too. You don't know where the like there's wires and stuff, mechanical stuff, but
this is 100% the 4 mechanical horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm gonna give this one an 8 just because it's so neat.
I'm gonna give this one a 9. I think this is one of my favorites.
Okay. And well, Seraphis gave it an epic, so
that's probably a 10.
Yeah. Let me. So again, another album cover here.
Uriah Heep.
Uriah Heep. The Magician's Birthday.
I was so close.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see these soon. But
okie dokie.
I just want to Yeah, on the right hand side is an album cover for a band called Nitro Function. And this image here is the back cover. So I imagine there was lots of text where it's all black.
Yeah, probably like maybe the song list or something.
Yeah. Now, we see the logo for Uriah Heep and the title of the album, The Magician's Birthday. But
Yeah.
up here, I'm just going to zoom in here so we can see stuff. So you see this drawing with this person and some other stuff. There's like a cat here. There's a thing with a staircase here. We don't see much of it because it's so small. These strange flowers and some odds and ends here and there.
Yep.
Then we see this all black thing. And if you look carefully, you'll see that these things line up together. Okay?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then we have just this maybe airbrushed or watercolored gradient background. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to jump 2 ahead so we can see it. But this is what we see. This is what we get. So everything that was in black was printed in red, that bright red.
Mm-hmm.
That image with the man and the cat and the staircase here and the other odds and ends is everything you see in color. And then the background, it was just all assembled together for printing like that.
So it was all laid together into one image.
Exactly. So it's not one piece of artwork. It's, physically he had these 3 things and then it all got composited together when they were making the plates and printing it.
All right.
Yeah. And that's the album the album is called The Magician's Birthday. It's by Uriah Heep. And I have that album. It's very good. I enjoy it a lot. So
fair enough. I'm getting Japanese sort of vibes from this one. I don't know if it's just me.
Maybe.
I think
it's the tree.
Yeah, it looks like a sakura tree.
Yeah, like a bonsai tree.
Or a bonsai tree, yeah.
The bonsais are often have these twists and, clumps of foliage with,
It sort of looks like kanji as well.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Yeah, I like it. I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, I agree. And now we're going to go back 1 page just so we can see this other album cover. And again, it's for Uriah Heep cover. And this one's called Demons and Wizards. And I would say it's the band's best album. It's great. I love listening to that album. And we see this, person. He's got these waterfalls. He's maybe casting a spell. He's got a wand in his hands. Let me just zoom in. It's very strange. He's got like a wolf's head on, headgear, but then like a butterfly wings with his cloak. It's very weird, but I like it.
Yeah, he's definitely doing something weird.
Yeah. And I'm going to give this one an 8 too. And I'm very biased because I just love this album. I associate it with a lot of good stuff. So
fair enough.
So solid 8 for me.
I'm sort of interested in is that water?
What the
stuff that seems to be flowing?
Well, this would be water. I've always interpreted this as like waterfalls and little pools, and then the waterfalls some more, and so on.
I think it's just it's drawn in such an interesting way. It doesn't. It looks like water, but it almost looks like something else
Let
as
me
well.
zoom in so you could see. See, like this, like the water would come out of here and flow. And I've seen water drawn like this in some old book illustrations. You can really see here.
It's just interesting. Yeah. Compared to some of the ways that we've seen water drawn so far,
Yeah.
it's like that's really different.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the idea that it's like quite cold or quite ethereal almost. It looks quite ghostly.
Yeah. And it's strange too,
Anyway.
because you see the star, like where you would imagine the rocks to be, you see stars, and then there's planets, and so there's a very surreal thing to it. And we'll see this idea of rocks that aren't anchored to anything. Like you can see rocks here being drawn, but they don't seem to be, there's a sky below them. We'll see that later too.
Okay.
So let me just and some more album. So this is not an album cover, but if you've ever seen an LP, there's that circle in the middle that often they put some information in, but sometimes they'll put artwork, and this is that.
Oh, right.
artwork,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we see like some sketches for some other designs. Again, you have that black circle in the middle too, because it's the LP thing.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah. This kind of art doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, you don't want it to be, because this is way bigger than actual size, right? It's maybe 3-4 inches in diameter. So I think it does the job well of what it has to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
And yet another.
I think I didn't say I'd give that with the water. I'd give that a 7.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
Grim Squirrel is asking,
are you old enough to know what an LP is? I'm not that much younger than you, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, she's just, I think, pulling your leg. Yeah, so this is kind of a fun one.
Yeah,
and also
all you want. Go on.
What?
I'm just saying to Grim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see. She's giggling.
I like this one. I don't know what it is, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I always wondered, like, because this is clearly like ice and snow that's melting. And while it doesn't quite look like that, this idea that you have this smooth snow and then part of it is melted, you see like some, a change in texture does happen in real life.
Yes.
I've seen that. And I've seen strange shapes like that when ice melts and snow melts. Not on a huge scale like this, obviously, but on a small scale, you do get some very surreal and strange shapes happening in melted snow. What I find strange about it is that there's like greenery underneath the snow, and not sure how that works, but I still like that piece. I think I'll give it a 7, and it's mostly because it's one of those, there's no single focus to anchor your eyes to. So I think it's better than others because I can tell what's what, where's what. I'm not confused as to what's foreground, what's background, and so on.
I think what confuses me about this image is like the thickness or like the density of the snow or ice gives the impression that it's been cold for quite a long time. But if that's the case, how is the greenery?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the what's that from? Where's that from? I'm not sure.
Like that can't have been hiding underneath. It would have died unless it was a different. It fueled off something different. But anyway, I would go as low as 6, to be honest.
Okay.
Just not quite doing it for me, this one.
Looks like ice or snow, but also reminds me of areas where the spider swarms go through and cover stuff in web. Yeah, I could see that.
It's like I like it, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
So it's not quite doing
Mhm.
anything for me.
Yeah. Okay. And another album cover. This one doesn't do much for me at all.
It's kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe if you know who this musician is and stuff, or
Well, who are
it'll
they?
do something for you. I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to go look at the text. Maybe it says on the next page.
I mean, I can see the moon in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is for a guy named Bobby Harrison, and this is for a solo album. He used to be part of a band called Snafu. So there you go. I think it's a great name for a band. I will give him that. So, the dragon on the left, I quite like. And that was like the logo, if you will, for Dragon's Dream, which was the first name I think he got for Paper Tiger books before they changed it to Paper Tiger.
All right, okay.
So I mean that's I forget what was here, but sometimes you see stuff in this circle. But and I'm just going to zoom into this image because it is kind of fun. You see like some guy, maybe you see it more in the sketch, plowing with his two beasts, but you see here the pin and the circle, and what he's doing is he's the needle for the record player. If you will.
Oh,
Like you see like the arm up here leading to the plow. So it's a fun little image here. And the fly is for a record label. You'll never guess what they're called.
go on, surprise me.
Fly.
Oh my god, I'm
But,
so shocked right now.
But so on their records, you'd have like the song titles and timing in here, but that would be in the middle of the records they produced.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see artists, but who also do like design like that. It's kind of fun.
So did these artists like reach out to him and say, "Hey, can you do an album cover for me? This is what I want."
In some cases, I think yes. In other cases, I think it's just the record company. He mentions in a previous one, I remember, and I remember it struck me, he was hired by this design studio called Hypnosis to do the illustration for a record cover. And the reason it struck for me is that Hypnosis did a lot of record covers in the 70s and early 80s, but their two best known ones are probably The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd and Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd.
Okay, I know both of those.
Yeah, who doesn't? Who doesn't? And it, but they designed those. So I think sometimes they do it in house, but sometimes they wanted a particular style of illustration, so they call up some guy and say, "Hey, we need you to do some work for us." So
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Obviously, communication would have been different in '75 as well, so it's not like just send him an email.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, this is too dark. It just becomes nothing, but it's apparently an image of Gollum.
Oh, a wild straw piglet appeared.
Oh, it's a straw piglet.
Hey, straw piglet. How you
Greetings.
doing, mate?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think this
I
is
can't even tell what that is in the image on the left. It's
no,
just
it's
black.
so dark. You could see the two eyes, maybe the shape of the head,
I
an
literally
arm,
can't even
and
see
then
that.
like this could be like a boat, part of a boat. And I'm saying
I-
this because I know it's Gollum, right? And if he's in the cave, he's on that little boat of his. But this is very nothing image. This is clearly like for some movie poster. Looks like a Dracula thing. Doesn't do much for me personally.
Looks like Morbius.
Yeah. Some of the
Yeah.
sketches. I will say
Thanks.
I like this. Like this is very peaceful countryside image. I quite like this in that sense. Like I could see this hanging on, in someone's living
that
room.
image alone tells me this guy's from the UK.
Oh yeah, no, that's so UK countryside.
Like I'm looking at, I'm thinking, yep, I've seen a lot of countrysides that look like that.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
beautiful. I mean, I love the British countryside. I've been in, Scotland, Northern England, Wales, Ireland, like all the countryside in all those islands. It's just gorgeous. So,
But if you'd have never told me earlier on the stream that this guy's from the UK,
Oh,
I would
yeah,
have figured it out from that one image.
oh, for sure. So some other stuff.
I'd be like, hey,
he's
Slan,
done.
is this guy from the UK?
Yeah. And this is maybe one of his most shocking, if you will, illustrations.
Okay, so someone's dying or in pain.
Well, they clearly have ropes tied
Or
around
are
their
they being
necks.
hung, drawn,
You
and
see some
quartered?
cowboys, and it's like the posse is tossing them down for whatever, quote unquote justice lynch mobs used to give.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah. But it's yeah. You rarely see images like that outside of like, pulp horror magazines or places where they were trying to shock people.
Yeah, and this was 75 as well.
Yeah, or earlier, like. Yeah, he says here, designed about half a dozen film posters at this time, 1971. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And this is a weird, it's called the Blue Demon. He makes a reference to the Blue Demon. I don't know what it is. I would imagine from the format, although it's the format of the book too, as square, that this might be an album cover. It's certainly a strange creature.
I mean, I'd say most of them so far have been album covers, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he does a lot of that. Sorry. There used to be this poster company, and he did some work for them, but other illustrators did more work with them. But he did a few posters for them. So yeah, I think this, if you need to describe some weird, different kind of creature, this is a great starting point.
Mm.
So he calls it the Blue Demon, but it could be any number of things. You could just focus on different aspects of it. It's got like a fish-like head. It's got those weird wings that are like, I don't know, not quite bat wings.
It looks to me like what I
wings.
imagine when I think of an imp.
Yeah, it could be. And I like the tail, this really long tail. It's kind of neat.
This one looks very sort of Eastern in its
Yeah.
What do you call it?
So.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
I like it though. I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Straw Piglet, we're both doing well to answer your question. Hope you're enjoying the aardvark.
Yeah, feel free to toss in a vote. We're just,
Yeah, we're just rating stuff. Feel free to rate what you like. And again, illustrations, but also graphic design. He did stuff for Virgin Records.
okay.
So there you go. He talks here about how like he'd do these were all for like the black and white stuff was for newspaper ads, and he'd like do one, and then he'd like take the printed artwork and just make changes to it for the following week, so it would evolve over time. You can see here, these two are almost the same except for this part here that he changed.
I see. Okay, so
and
that's
this
why
end
they
here.
all look really similar.
And he just adds a bit, but they look very similar because he repeats stuff. Same here, to just try to save time. If you have to
Lazy
cough up,
or genius, you
Yeah.
decide.
yeah. And I know like those images of like these were actually originally photographs, and I've seen those photographs. Not he didn't take them, but I think just used them. But it's like one woman, and they took the photo with a mirror, so that's why like there's that perfect symmetry happening.
hmm
It makes it very strange though sometimes.
Oh, you've never seen these Straw Piglet? Yeah, no, me neither.
No. Yeah, I mean
That's
that's
why
the
I
only
like,
place I've seen
streams.
them. Yeah, this is the only place I've ever seen these. But he mentions they were like magazine or my sense is that they were those weekly cultural papers people used to get for free in big cities.
No.
My feeling is that that's what they were for. This was before your time. People used to get these newspapers for free.
What? Free anything?
Yeah.
What?
But full of advertising. See, there's
Oh,
one of those photos. You could see it.
Even back then, you still had to deal with the ads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How life changes, and yet it stays the same.
Yeah. And Green Slate is another band. We see some sketches. He did this figure of a wizard for them, and who often has more than one arm, on each side of his body. We see some sketches, and this is what the album cover looked like.
Wow. That is, I'm just going to say, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I could see that very well.
That is just incredible.
Oh yeah, they made us pay for advertising too. Don't worry, Straw Piglet. But yeah, I like this image a lot. You know how I was saying earlier that he has these organic shapes, but that they could be buildings, and you sort of get the feel that these things in the backgrounds might be built that way, didn't grow that way, but maybe they grew that way. You don't know. And I do like that the waterfall. When you're talking about the water in the previous image, I mean, it's not the same colors, it's not exactly the same, but it is reminiscent. You don't see the rocks, but you can guess where they are from the pattern of the water.
Yes. It has that same sort of weird ethereal web-like effect.
Yeah.
But here, it makes sense.
Yes.
It feels like it does. In the other image, it felt like it was really prominent, and it just looked kind of odd because of that. Yeah. Straw Piglet says, "Oh, that was Grim Squirrel, different beast."
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. But yeah, she's right. They do make us pay, but they made us pay back in the day too.
Hey, I mean, I'm one of the guys who has YouTube Premium, so I pay to get rid of them.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the best example of paying for advertising was the comics guide. So every month, Diamond Books used to put out this like inch thick, and it was just a listing of all the comics that you could order from them, and it'd be like a 2-page interview and 3 pages of a comic, and the rest was just listing what you could order from them, and people paid for that. It's beyond me.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. I know people who have a whole bunch. I'm like, why did you even buy this? I would never spend. I could actually buy a real comic for that money. I'll buy a real comic. Thank you very much. So
Yeah, that does seem kind
advertising.
of bizarre.
Hmm.
Keep paying for the free trials, never get the
Yeah.
full thing.
Exactly. Okay, so back to the to Greenslade's
Yes, sorry,
album
yes.
cover.
2
That's
stacks
okay.
yesterday.
Yeah. No, I'll give this one a solid 8. I really like the depth of it. And I like the
Yeah,
strange
that's a
magician
good point.
figure.
It has a lot of layers. It has a lot of depth. That's what I like about it. I give it a 9.
Okay. And this is another one for the same band, obviously. And
Ooh.
I really like it. And every time I look at it, I want to see what happens with the 2 cats. It's clearly like just started its jump, but you don't know what it's aiming for exactly. And I know
Yes.
cats, it could try to be landing here, but it could also try to land on this one. Just because cats are like that. I
Yep.
love the buildings in the background, both the middle ground and the far deep background.
Yes, I agree.
It's
very distinct between the foreground and the background.
Yes, much more successful. No, that one's a 9 for me. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, I would also agree. This is a 9.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions as well. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for starters, the person or whatever they are does not have a normal amount of appendages.
Yeah, exactly. But I like it. It's
Straw Piglet has a question.
Yeah, he makes the most. He does make the most amazing environments. We haven't gotten to those yet. We have not gotten to those yet, Straw Piglets. So if you were looking forward to them, you haven't missed them yet. So let's go to the next one. Some sketches and stuff. And another album cover for a band called Badger.
Okay, some of these are quite obvious,
Yeah. But
some
I
of
like
them are
this.
like, really obtuse. This one's just like, Badger.
Yeah. Exactly. Actually, you can see the logo he did it here. Let me zoom in. And that's apparently a drawing he did as a kid down here. But that's a logo he did for the band. Which is kind of neat.
Nice. I really like that. That almost looks like a kid's TV show or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's because when I was a kid, there was a
Yeah.
TV show called Bodger and Badger.
Oh.
Oh, that's just brought back some really nice memories.
Oh, that's good.
Childhood nostalgia. Anyway.
Yeah. I really like this image actually. A lot.
Do you know what? Out of all the black and white images, I think this is probably my favorite one because it feels like it's meant to be in black and white.
Yeah. And I've been in the woods in the winter here, and the world does sometimes look black and white because the snow is so bright and the bark of the trees is so dark and you don't see much else.
That it really do be like that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the two badgers look a little bit odd, but I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen real life badgers. Their snout isn't quite like that, and their ears
I
aren't
mean, not in
quite so
person.
thin.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Do we even have badgers in the UK? I don't even know.
I'm not sure. We'd have
I'd
to
give
look it
this
up.
one I'd give this one an 8.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Greetings,
Hey,
Nosorian. Yeah, well, we're just a little bit more than halfway past the book. We're not at 2/3 yet, so you still have a chunk of stuff to see.
And Grim Squirrel says yes.
Yes.
I don't know what
Okay.
she's saying yes to, but she's saying yes.
Maybe she says yes. There are badgers in the UK.
Oh, okay.
It seems possible because I know there's some in Europe. But I know also that not all the animals that are in Europe are on the British Isles because of the channel. You know, there's this water in the way. So, okay, moving on. And here, this is yes. So
we do have badgers. They are native to the UK.
There you go.
Thanks, Grim.
Always well informed, Grim Squirrel.
Oh,
you can
yeah,
tell she's in this big
well
library in her icon. So I'm sure you've seen this Yes logo at some point, and Roger Dean, the ones who created it. So
Grim likes telling me when I'm wrong and when I don't know something, doesn't she?
yeah. And,
no, I can't say I've seen these before, to be
no,
honest.
okay.
Maybe I have. Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
Or recollection.
Yeah. So yeah, he designed this for us. They used it on a lot of record albums.
Okay.
And then there's one album was titled Fragile, and he'd done a separate logo for it. Let me try and zoom in here. So like lots. And these are the covers of Fragile, front and back. I think we see bigger ones. So these were like booklets that people had, you could buy at the concert and stuff about the music.
Okay.
And this here is sketches for, I think, this weird spaceship thingy here. And we're going to see some of the album covers. So, and I'm going to go from memory here, and
this is something.
Yeah, this is, I think, From Close to the Edge. It's the inside cover of it. But it's kind of neat. There's I'm trying to remember. There's a series of science fiction stories by Larry Niven, and it's all in the same universe, and it's referred to as known space. But there's this one planet where basically humanity sent out these probes to try and find planets that it could live on. And then the probe lands on the planet and checks out the atmosphere and the pressure and the temperature, and sends back a report to Earth, which takes years to get there, to get back at the speed of light. And it sends back, yeah, I found this great place, great temperature, great anything. And it's basically the top of a huge mountain, and it's the only place people can live, because everywhere else the pressure's too high, the temperature's too high, like people can't live. And so they're stuck in this little tiny space, and this is what this reminds me of, And they actually call the planet Plateau because they're on this little plateau at the top of the near the top of the atmosphere. But that's what this reminds me of.
The literal only place that's inhabitable.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is a I mean, like it seems to be to me like that this is all water and it's flowing down and there's some islands in it. You just got to wonder where the water comes from. But yeah, that would be a cool environment for your, like you see the road and the bridges going to it. I mean, I'd want to see like the road seems to end here. I'd want to see like a little dock and a boat and maybe some buildings. Is that like a building down here? Let me see.
I don't know.
Oh
they
my
look like
God! Yeah,
tents.
look, it looks like there's something here. That's like that's not just a natural. Maybe it's hard to say. But yeah, I like this image.
It looks. I don't know how to explain it. It looks peaceful but desolate at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a solid 7.5.
Yeah, I think 7.5 is fair. I think it's a kind of a great starting point to create an interesting environment for your world. Like not the whole world, but part of it. Some sketches for the Yes logo and
You know what?
another image.
It'd be really funny. Like whatever gets dropped or thrown off the edge is gone forever.
Yeah. So
Saxius could kill a lot of his players that way.
oh yeah.
Whoops!
Reminds me of
Pushes them. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is the lettering for Close to the Edge, and this was for Yes Songs. Let me zoom in a bit so we could see it. So Close to the Edge. Actually, like the cover for Close to the Edge, like that image we saw, that was when you opened up the cover, right? You folded it
Yeah,
out.
the inside cover, yeah.
The front cover was just a green gradient with the words Close to the Edge and Yes, and that was it. It was like, and then yeah, this was some sketches for Yes Songs, and you have all these weird things, and it was all like a uniform color around here, and then the actual image was inside here,
Grim's got a question.
Yeah. Is that the same Yes that did Homeworld? I'm not familiar with Homeworld by Yes. I'd have to look it up, but it's the same Yes that did. I mean, for songs, there's Long Distance Run Around and the Close to the Edge, of course. What else? It's the Yes where John Anderson is the singer. Steve Howe was the guitarist for a while. Who else? Bill Bruford was the drummer, and then Steve White took over. They did change their lineup quite a few times. Oh, thank you, Straw Piglets. So it is. They did a lot of albums over the years, and a lot of songs, so I don't necessarily know all of them. So this is, some weird spaceship. And I'm going to say spaceship because I know like the concept behind the album covers. And yeah, this is a figure on one of the album covers. I think this is a sketch and this is the final one. And what you see here is that thing. Like just the wing, the tip of the wings here. Yeah. So there was an album called Fragile, and on the cover you see like a planet, and you see that weird solar space sailing ship. And then the next one is like you see the world explode, and then in the next album cover you saw these fragments floating through space. With this again in the bottom left hand you can see the spaceship, and there you can barely see a line here. So it's like they're towing pieces of their home world through space for some reason. And then they arrive at a new planet and land. While the native life
Apologies if
sort
that
of looks
race car
on.
driver driving around picked up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Not your fault. And then life, once they've landed, life starts to spread more.
Hmm.
And that's the illustration on the cover of Yes Songs. That's surrounded by the logo and those weird shapes and all that. You know. So I'm gonna go back quickly just for the sequence. But they sort of go together as images. They sort of tell a story. And there's a couple of bands who did stuff like that. Yes did it. Journey did it too. Like they had one album called Capture, and the following one was called Escape.
Right. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, stuff like that. Capture was actually their live album, which was a great title for you know, recording their live performance.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But Yes Songs was one of their one of Yes's live albums, and it's a triple album. So when you unfolded it, it was like this big W shape that you unfolded, huge, like it was 4 feet wide. So you had like these drawings were like a foot high and 2 feet wide. Looked great.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, I find they're all so. Together they work really well, but as one, they kind of miss something. And then this one I kind of like a lot. Seeing like the elks and the weird tree, and the water seems to be draining down here somehow. It's kind of neat.
I like it. It feels quite grounded, yet somehow
Yes.
mystical.
Yes. And then this one really shows like, so clearly something like this, you know, that it's like a bridge, and you see a road leading in here, and here you see this. Is this built, grown, natural, artificial? It's very hard to say. Very weird.
Yeah, it's doing that weird hybrid thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like it. It's making me ask like good questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not so much what the hell is this? It's what is this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I want to know more.
Indeed.
And I like the clear separation between the foreground and the background. It's like it gives you that sense of scale and distance. You're like, right, this thing is here. It's quite small. That thing is really far away and really big.
Yeah. So remember how we had photos of his cats early on?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see the white clouds here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in here. There's a paw print here. There's another one here. He had to like basically it wasn't quite dry. The cat walked over it, and then he had to airbrush some clouds to obfuscate the matter.
Oh no. Oh, poor dude. Fair enough. He made it work for him.
Yeah, he made it work.
Cats be catting.
Exactly. Some more of the Yes album covers. Here's some of the letterings for. Yeah, they had these weird
These
titles.
days, they'll just
Tales
walk
from
over your keyboard
Topographic
and just keep
Oceans.
the whole file.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you have to think, like, you know, doing another one of these often required redoing a lot of the work by hand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some of the variants on an album cover, some sketches. I find and I know why, because when you were doing this photographically, photographing pencil sketches to have them come out nice was really hard. And that's why we unfortunately don't see a lot on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easier to do today when we scan in stuff.
Dungeon Minister has returned.
Oh. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah,
He
very
says that was
catchy
almost a
art.
catastrophe.
Yeah.
Oh, the race car driver's back. Sorry.
Okay.
I
So
don't
this
know.
is the. Oh. We don't. I mean, I hear a little bit of something, but it's not disruptive, so don't worry
Okay,
about
good.
it. This is the cover for Tales from Topographic Oceans. And what I find interesting is you don't see the fish when you look at the front cover because the division is around here, right? The fold. And it's weird because the fish imply this is underwater, but then there's a waterfall underwater. Not to mention the sun here. It's...
Okay. This is in SpongeBob. Is that what we're telling me?
Yeah. And you have this strange pyramid back here with I forgot where it is in South America where they have all those big drawings.
Chat.
Oh,
I've done it myself now.
Yeah.
I was trying to say chat and I said cat. Chat are doing cat puns.
Yeah. And Nosorian is quoting the cat from Red Dwarf. What is happening to this stream?
Right. We're now interacting with the live cat instead of the live chat.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna rate this one a 7.5. I find it's got lots of interesting stuff in it.
Yeah, I would agree. 7.5.
You know. Oh wait. Some more Yes album covers. I think those were meant to shock people. I find I don't like either of these that much, to be honest. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is the Relayer is another one of the Yes album Yes records. So he'd written this through I like this logo for it. And this is part of the front cover. I think the next page shows the album. So we'll move to that one. Yes, it does. So, and you were talking about Japanese. So first of all, we get like these very organic, but these look like they're constructions because you see windows a bit everywhere. We see a couple of snakes here, but then these very Japanese looking riders here. At least I get the feel like they're Oriental more than, you know. Yeah, it's a nice mountain fortress. I mean, it's kind of neat. If you want something very different, I think it'd be kind of cool if in a game you use these very organic shapes and you say, oh, that's how gnomes build, or that's how dwarves build. It's very different and makes other races uneasy, but it's also very elegant and integrated into the environment at the same time. Could be interesting to do that.
It's given me that same hybrid, you know, nature and not nature thing again.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
And this thing in the foreground, it's like a fish lizard. I don't know. What is that?
This here? It's a snake. There's two snakes.
What is this thing? Oh, is that another snake?
Yeah, well, there's a head of a snake here, and it goes like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now that you've zoomed in, it's more clear. Yeah, I see it.
I mean, I don't think it's a problem, but as far as distinguishing stuff is, things are very... It's all shades of brown and beige, so that there's not a lot of super strong contrasts. Obviously, this snake contrasts a lot with the very light colored structure behind it, but the riders, you don't see them immediately, You don't see that second snake immediately either. It very much blends into the rocks, which, you know, real snakes kind of do. Yeah, straw
that's true.
piglets. If elves have trees like that, that's the other possibility. But I think if you want to do an alien, you know, show like this race is not like humans, giving them some strange architecture that could be like this or different is one way to go about it. And I'm going to give this one a solid 8 because I always see new stuff when I look at it.
Seven, I would give it.
Okay. Moving on. Oh,
I
yeah.
would give it more. It's just it feels like it's a bit washed out and bland in terms of color.
Yeah.
I like the
understand.
detail.
What we're seeing here are a bunch of photos because the other thing Roger Dean did was design the stages for the Yes concerts. I think the next page we see some better images, but this is part of the construction process and what it looks like on the stage. So I'm going to zoom in, see if we can see a little bit better. But these photos aren't the best. Here, maybe this one shows us. You can see the guitarist here, another person here, and these strange structures over. This was over the drum set. The drum set's down here. And this stuff would move around too, which is crazy. I think we have, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So all sorts of weird shapes that would move around while the musicians performed in front of them. And here you can see, this was apparently this huge cloth that was hanging behind the set. You can see it here. And this was all like, I think fiberglass resin or something like that, these big barnacle-like things. And then it'd be lit up from the inside to look like different colors.
Okay. So that's how they've achieved that sort of look.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then some other industrial thing. If you've ever heard of DreamPod 9, the game company.
Can't say I have now.
Yeah. They took their idea for their little DreamPod from this. It's clearly from here. I know some of the guys who were involved in the early days. I should ask them to confirm. And I'm just going to zoom forward a bit more quickly. This is clearly something that was built. It's a photo. The idea that this was an isolation chamber, you'd get in there and be able to just meditate and do whatever. But he would eventually do designs for actual constructions that are very organic. And these are all like models and sketches he did. I'm just going to go through it quickly. The front cover again. But, again, he's talking more about how wouldn't it be great if we could build stuff like that? Different things. And here we have an illustration. It's sometimes a bit disconnected from one thing to the other. And I can't remember if it's in this book or the other book, but you do see some of the stuff he managed to build.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So,
what? It's like proof of concept.
Yeah, exactly. A proof of concept thing. So I kind of like this because you think it's an image of a tree in a fairly arid landscape, and then you see like, wait a minute, there's a rider. He just got off his mount, and he's checking something out. We don't know what. I quite like this one. Yes, the Riven has some kind of Yeah, it's reminiscent in some ways of that. So I'm gonna give this image here a 7.5. I always like, twisted up trees like this, and I like how subtle the figure and the mount and the rider are. It just, oh yeah, he's here now. You want to know what's happening.
I'd give it a 7. It's pretty solid.
Mhm. And next, I'm going to show you a couple because, yeah. So we have that same rider. He seems to be arriving somewhere because he's got a hand raised up. But you can't. This is the whole image. It's like a fold out in the book.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he just focuses like. But it's interesting the way this seems to be a complete image on its own. And then you see, oh no, there's more to it. And I'm actually not even seeing all of it here. There's all this. Again, this weird, very organic, not built, maybe grown construction. Yeah. Dungeon Minister likes the almost invisible figure in the previous one in the arid landscape. And then we see So this one is really, here, let me see if I can zoom so we can see all of it at a decent size. Yeah, so that's the entire artwork.
So that's like a fold out where like it folds out into 4 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like it's like, I don't know how to, it's like seasons almost, the way it looks.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, very, spring, summery here, and very fall. The dead season and the live season.
Yeah. Whether that's intentional or not, but that's my interpretation, what I'm taking from it.
Or the oasis.
See, obviously, deeper in the image, they all have their individual details of like.
Yeah. Could also be because, the previous one, he had that very dry, arid landscape. You see a hint of dry, that here. And then this is like a little enclave, an oasis where people can be safe and have water and resources. Yeah. That's another one I quite like. And there's a snake in the grass because not everything's perfect.
Of course.
I'll give this one an 8. I really like it. I think the weakest part might be the human figures. I find they're always a little bit weak with Roger Dean. It's not what his strength is.
I think an 8 is fair because it's really good. And you can see there's a lot of effort put into it.
Yeah.
But it's just not quite as good as some of his like more focused works.
Yeah. Some sketches. And yeah, so Steve Howe was the guitarist of Yes, and he did a solo album, and this was like I guess some black and white illustration to promote it or something, not sure. And again, we see that very that lettering that Roger Dean does a lot of.
Yes.
When he does a figure that looks very realistic, he actually says it. He just traces photographs.
It seems Chatter in a funny mood tonight.
Yeah. And that's actually here. Yeah. Here you go. Clearly, let's take a photo, put it in here, right? Into the illustration.
Yes. Very. Is that a giant mushroom?
Who knows? But maybe they had some giant mushrooms to imagine this. Well, part of it is like, you have like the staircase here leading to something here too, which makes you think, is this whole thing all not a construction of some sort? And then if yes, then is this also constructed? It seems very odd. And I'm gonna say this also reminds me of, you know, those weird seating things we saw at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this could be something like that. It's hard to say.
It feels
because
like he
also,
progressed from smoking to doing something else.
yeah, for sure.
I like it though. I really like it. It could do with a little bit more color, I think. A little bit more like, what's the word?
Yeah.
Saturation.
Yeah, saturation.
But I
And
give it
this
an 8.
is- Yeah, I think 8 is fair. So see the Dragon's Dream logo here we've seen before.
Yes.
And that's the end of the book. That's the back cover. So, oh yeah, I forgot. I should have mentioned, because when Straw Piglet asked about Yes and Asia, Asia's first album came out, I think it was in 81 or 82. This book came out in 75. So it's in the next book called Magnetic Storm, which I do have in physical format, but I don't have a scan of it. So it'll have to wait until I get myself a webcam, which hopefully will be soon. Sorry, Straw Piglet, but yeah, they're giant brains. Yeah, we're walking around the brains. So yeah, so I think he's an interesting artist, and I think you could see a lot of influence he's had. Yes, his art is more saturated and filled out. I think what happens is that I think part of what's happening is that there are limitations in the methods of reproducing color artwork back in 1975 that even in 1984, and he had another book in the early 90s, if I recall, were already much more, they were able to do much more justice to his artwork. I think he also focused a lot, he started focusing a lot more on his illustrations and his art rather than his design, though he still did other stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He developed his art a little bit more because I guess that's what paid the bills more than anything else and allowed him to do his other projects. He's still around. He's got a website. You can buy prints. They cost a fortune, unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
A fortune, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but he also did some other interesting letterings. At one point, some of the Yes band members got together and very originally used their last names as the band name. So it's like Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe, and he did a different logo, but more of a lettering thing. He also did
sound like a lawyer firm.
Yeah, and he also did. There's a band called It Bites that he did the logo for. So yeah, there were lots of Word Fun is called Puns, Straw Piglet.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. No, because he
Don't
says
worry,
lots
he'll
of
have to
word
look forward
fun
to-
today. So just telling you there's a word for that. Oh, you didn't know?
He said it earlier.
Oh. Yeah, well, yeah, chat kind of punished us. Okay, we get it. We get it. In any case, I hope everyone enjoyed it. And
Yes, look forward to the next one.
Yeah. Like I said, we're not going to be able to do the next book, which is called Magnetic Storm, right away until I get a webcam. But I'm sure we'll do something else in the meantime. I haven't had the chance because of that big book fair. That was 5 days long, and I was working. I didn't have a chance to start translating the rules for our next maze, but I'm hoping I'll be done for 2 weeks from now.
That's
so
all
we
right.
can do that then. All right.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks everyone who dropped by. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Yeah, and we'll hope you see you all next time. Take care.
Take care. Good night.